The wait is finally over for the 2026 Mazda CX-5. We're going to break down the design and all the details that I have so far about Mazda's best-selling crossover. We've been waiting over a decade for this redesign. Has it been worth the wait? Today we'll find out. All right, up top, we have insole red crystals. So they're keeping that lovely pink color. This is the new CX-5. There had been a leak before, so we kind of knew what it was going to look like, but let's go ahead and start breaking down the design. Below it, we have a 2022 to 2025 CX-5. This was a refresh. All right, so we're going to do our best to compare. Mazda doesn't actually have that many pictures. They have more images of it through the B-roll. Okay, so as we look at the grille differences, it looks like the top portion is blocked off a little bit more for aerodynamics. The bezel it's still there, but they've kind of widened the grille portion to cut into the mid part of the headlights here. And the headlights actually don't look that different. They've kind of modified these two side-by-side daytime running lights, and they've dropped the headlight actually down below those daytime running lights into this empty area that they've created outside of the bezel. The Mazda logo is still sticking around. The bottom portion of the bumper actually looks quite similar. However, look how it pops out here. We kind of have this bigger chin at the bottom compared to the current CX-5 where it drops down a little bit more. I'd have to see it in person. It's probably not going to bother me much in person, but looking at it in the images, the bottom portion of the bumper does look a little bit more tasteful, I think, on the current generation. This is not a huge evolution in the design. It almost looks like another refresh of the CX-5 from up front. If we go back to the still image here, the roof line, like the A-pillar, it looks very similar. They're still mounting the mirrors on the door. The door handles even look quite similar. We have more motion here at the bottom. I do like this. Look how much this cuts in. You have this door crease here that we didn't have before. I like that. I think the door line that's nice and high looks good instead of the like one that cuts down. Then you have another one over the fender. I do kind of like the more simplistic high line here on the doors and the window lines. The bezel around the windows is very similar, a little bit softer here on the back and compare the more edgy on the current CX-5. The wheel arches, well, we're probably looking at very similar models here. Obviously, this is a turbo. And by the way, guys, the powertrains, this is the big announcement. There is no more turbo CX-5 being offered. All right, at least at launch. All that they say, there's a hybrid with a new SkyActiv Z engine. Again, this is on SkyActiv G, the 2.5 liter is, and the 2.5 liter turbo. Again, the turbo's no longer going to be on the CX-5, at least according to this press release that I have. And the hybrid is coming in 2027 with a new iteration, or new generation, I should say, of SkyActiv Z engine. I think it'll also have a 2.5 liter SkyActiv Z. All right, but anyways, back to the wheel arches. We have this little crop up for a little bit more styling. It's not positive or negative. All right, so what about the back end styling? All right, well, they've made the taillights much wider, similar to like what you see on the large platform vehicles like the CX-90, for example. Big exhaust tips at the bottom. In fact, these look like the exact same exhaust tips. Glossy black rear finish or bottom finish here. Look, they got rid of the Mazda logo and they typed it out. I don't know how to feel about that. I honestly don't care that much that they did it. I know it's very trendy to type out the brand and name at this point, but let me know if you guys agree with this Mazda situation here that is typed out. Also, the windshield wiper looks shorter. Look how short this is. All right, maybe the window line has been shrunken down here. In terms of where the badges are located, they're in the same exact spots. I mean, even the reflectors are in a very similar spot. So it almost just looks like they widened the taillights here, and they got rid of the Mazda logo and put in the Mazda font. Now onto the interior. The interior, we're not going to compare side by side because this is a big departure from the old interior. However, they still kept the traditional shifter, which I'm a huge fan of. We still have auto brake hold. I think that's what this button is. You have electronic parking brake as well. There are going to be plenty of different variations of this interior. I just have one for us to sample today with kind of like this black and tan combination. Big old screen right here in the middle, but look how close it is to the driver. That's a big departure of current Mazdas, where the screen is kind of recessed back into the dash because they weren't designed originally to be touch screens. This is a touchscreen through and through. And they don't mention it in the press release, but my sources are saying that this is running Toyota's Arene software. Okay, of course, you're not going to see Toyota on this screen. It's going to be all Mazda focus, but this sort of technology, what you see here, should be very similar and maybe slightly different appearances or design. But in terms of the base software and the functionality here, I believe this is the Toyota Arene software, and it should behave very similar to the new RAV4 software, for example. All right, so that's pretty cool. They also got rid of the Mazda logo on the steering wheel, and we have Mazda font. Don't think it looks good. I think the Mazda logo being circular in nature looks better on this steering wheel. I think this is the best image we have of the steering wheel, unfortunately, as I'm looking at my other images here. What could be touch capacitive buttons overlaid on real buttons, it's hard to say. I would have to see it and feel it to know for sure. Eye sensors, yuck. Again, you're not going to have that on the base models, but the eyeball sensors that we see from Toyota and other manufacturers are just really nannying. They're really annoying, and they're bugging you and beeping and chiming all the time. It looks like we have a 10-inch fully digital screen, maybe 12-inch behind here. I mean, it is kind of similar to the RAV4's interior, the new RAV4. It's very minimal, but there are no buttons here for climate control whatsoever. Maybe defrost right here. It's very, very minimal. I'm not sure how you guys are going to feel about that. I prefer physical climate control, and Mazda's typically hit it out of the park with their physical climate control, but now it's baked all into the touchscreen. The seats look great. We know Mazdas make really comfortable armrests. I expect that to carry over. The seats look more comfortable than the current CX-5s, which are rock hard seats. Stitching, of course, looks great. It's a Mazda. I mean, even the door handles look very similar. This area looks very CX-50-ish. You got the Bose sound system in here as well. I'm going to go through the press release. I'll play some of the limited B-roll that I have for you guys. All right, so the touchscreen has Google built in. We also have gains in rear seat comfort and cargo space. This third-gen CX-5 is building off the success of the previous two generations, which have sold over 1.6 million in the United States and 4.5 million units globally. The wheels that you saw in the image also are 19-inch wheels. They're calling this a grille, this wider grille on the front end, the signature wing grille. And further inspiration was found from traditional Japanese architecture called kigumi, which is where precise wood joinery is used as a construction method rather than conventional screws and nails. This is seen where the body meets the fender trim. The all-new CX-5 is 4.5 inches longer. I didn't think that they would increase the length of it that much because it's a global product, but it is 4.5 inches longer with a 3-inch longer wheelbase, while also being 1/2 inch wider than the previous model. So when I think about the size increase here, it's like, what's the size of the CX-60? 186.8 inches. So the new CX-5 is maybe only about 2 inches shorter from front to nose to rear compared to the CX-60. It's really similar in size. The door openings are also much larger for easier ingress and egress, especially for things like parents loading and car seats. I do appreciate that massively. Similarly, passenger comfort has been enhanced thanks to increased rear leg, knee, and headroom space. Rear seat occupants can stretch out their legs more comfortably, and an available pano sunroof makes the vehicle feel even more open. We have a pano on the CX-50, but I don't believe it was on the previous or the current generation 2nd gen CX-5. So that's awesome to have that here as well. Something that I just reviewed, the Honda Sport Touring CR-V still doesn't have a pano roof. So the extra size and length now has for noticeably larger and more useful rear cargo area, which is almost 2 inches longer and over an inch higher, all with a lower lift-in height that drops over 1/2 inch from its predecessor. We have new ambient lighting on the front door trims, adding to this feeling of comfort. There's a choice of 7 colors that create a calming environment. This subtle lighting enhances a sense of private, high-quality space for passengers without distracting the driver at night. That's great. You know, you get into so many of these like the Charger EV at night. It's just like a light show spectacle. The Germans, especially like Audi at night, light show spectacle. It's a discotheque on the inside of many models at night. I like how Mazda is trying to keep it subtle, kind of like that movie theater accent lighting so you don't fall down the stairs when you need a potty break. So the screen is 15.6 inches, but it's available, meaning it is not standard. So I wonder if the standard screen is going to be closer to 9 inches. That's probably where it'll be. It's the largest screen ever, this 15.6 incher in a Mazda. All right, so into the engine, just one engine. They're carrying over the 2.5-liter SkyActiv G. Produces 187 horsepower. I thought it produced 191 horsepower on the current model. You guys will fact check me there. 185 pound-feet of torque. 6-speed auto carries over, and standard all-wheel drive carries over as well. We don't have much details on the packaging. Of course, we'll get better clarity on that as we get closer to launch. The 2.5S powertrain package has proven itself as a popular, reliable offering from Mazda, and this latest iteration has been recalibrated for greater flexibility with an emphasis on offering both sharper response and a more relaxed, quiet demeanor based on how the vehicle is driven. That sounds good to me. All right. You know, peak numbers aren't everything. If it has more usable power, if the transmission is a little bit more snappy, we'll see. But no turbo here is it's not ideal. All right, so when the CX-5 comes out, the CX-50 will still offer the turbo. The CX-30 that slots in underneath of this will still offer the turbo. The small sedan, the Mazda 3 sedan and hatchback will still offer the turbo. Is this just a sign of things to come for Mazda? They're going to be killing off their turbo engines, not the inline-6, obviously, but is this just the beginning signs that the 2.5 SkyActiv G Turbo is on its last legs? You got to keep in mind the new SkyActiv Z engine is going to have turbocharged variants as well. So maybe it's too costly for them to certify the current SkyActiv G Turbo. They're just going to wait till the SkyActiv Z Turbo is available and ready to rock. That's my guess. All right. So let's keep reading. An electrified alternative is also coming. The CX-5 will debut a new hybrid powertrain to the Mazda family in 2027. The new SkyActiv Z engine will feature Mazda hybrid system technology to offer a high level of performance and fuel efficiency, along with an engaging drive that our customers expect. And I don't see anything in this press release about availability. It'll still be built in Japan, of course, but I don't see any information on availability. Typically, when you see a reveal like this in the summer, it should be available by the very end of this year. November, December would be my guess, but it might fall into early 2026 as well. It's hard to say without having a launch window from Mazda here. I don't see it in the press release. So we know the hybrid's coming with an all-new engine technology. We know that the turbo's gone. The looks are very conservative. It looks like a refresh, but it's so much longer. 3 inches longer in the wheelbase, 4.5 inches longer in length. It's going to be the most practical as well for families. Not only more cargo space, but the doors are going to open up wider. You're going to have more space to put kids in, which I really appreciate. The lack of the turbo, though, I think is going to sour a lot of people, but Mazda knows that the turbo is a very low volume seller for them. Maybe, I don't know, if I would take a guess, maybe 10% of all CX-5s were the turbo. And if it cost, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars to certify that turbo engine, only for them to cancel it in a couple of years when they bring out the new SkyActiv Z Turbo, it makes sense to me. But I know it's not going to make a lot of enthusiasts happy out there. However, there's no CVT. Heck yes. There's no turbo here, which has its pros. I know a lot of people don't want a turbo. They don't have to worry about the extra maintenance costs. They don't have to worry about something else failing. You just have a simple, naturally aspirated engine here. And this standard powertrain is very competitive. It is engaging. And this new CX-5 will have to live with it for the first year until, well, maybe year and a half, depending on when that hybrid launches in 2027. The new hybrid, I don't know what to expect from it. I expect it to be maybe a little bit more fun to drive than Toyota's hybrid system. And we don't know fuel economy. We don't know what kind of transmission, if it's going to be an ECVT or something different altogether. We just don't know any details on that hybrid other than it's coming in 2027. And it should be the range-topping engine, or should I say powertrain available. So I'll see you guys in the comments. I'm excited for the CX-5. I just want to drive it. I want to spend time with it. I want to see how usable that climate control system is with this Google built-in. Again, my source is saying that it is underlying using Toyota's Arene software. We'll see. Time will tell. Thank you guys. I'm excited for it. Mazda doesn't come out with new products very often. And so when they do, it makes a big splash, at least for people who care about Mazda. I'll see you in the comments. Thank you. Have a great day. Long live the CX-5.